IVM.
You are the most valuable investment you will ever make. Hi, I'm Zarina Poonawalla, your leadership coach, life coach, and emotional intelligence coach. You probably know me from the Empowering series, and this is my new show, the Life Manifesto with Zarina Poonawalla. I'm going to coach you to be the best version of yourselves. So get ready to create, attain, and manifest the life you've always desired and make it your reality. Just because you're old doesn't mean you're mature. Just because you're a parent definitely doesn't mean you're mature. Just because you're designated with something does not make you mature. Just because you're an entrepreneur or a business person does not automatically make you mature. Maturity is a great measure of human growth, and it shows evolution in the most wholesome form. And I think it's wonderful, absolutely amazing to watch mature people reflect back on a journey of experiences which bring them to this kind of a level, this level of maturity. You know what's even more amazing though? When this maturity encompasses emotions, right? In the sense of emotional maturity. Now, maturity is basically the state of being fully developed. And so this could be true to tangible things as well, right? Let's say your policy, your funds or investments, they all mature with time. And similarly, so do human beings. So it is said. Emotional maturity, on the other hand, is a learning curve, and it enables you to navigate your gamut of emotions responsibly and successfully. That's my understanding of it, so don't go try find it on Google or any Oxford Dictionary or Thesaurus. You might not be able to find it there. Emotional maturity, although, is also misunderstood, and it is expected from people mostly out of age or relation or designation, like I mentioned earlier when I said just because. And that is truly a pity. A man in his mid-50s may be a golly child with a lack of overall maturity. Or let's say a woman. A woman is expected to look after her many roles and may still be unable to handle her own emotional spectrum. So you see what I mean here? What do you really think emotionally mature people look like then? Emotionally mature people are wiser, they are calmer in tougher situations. They can de-escalate a conflict without getting consumed by it. That's quite good actually. And they manage their own emotions quite nicely. Most of the times they also manage other people's emotions well, which is a gift, I think. They do possess a higher EQ. They are your go-to people. Whenever you need, you go to them. Whenever you're in a problem, you need something fixed, you go to these people. They have limited expectations from others, and they seem to not really have a problem being happy or fulfilled as much. Great, isn't it? Emotionally mature people sound so in charge and so in control and so well managed. So the question really is, are you struggling in this department, and do you think you're mature, well developed, or emotionally mature? Do you think it would be nice to be that way? Let's find out, shall we? What is it that emotionally mature individuals really do? Maybe you can follow in and take a cue or two from that. It all starts with recognizing your emotions, quite naturally. And you see how many times and how many episodes we've done on several topics starts with acknowledgement and recognize the feeling, the emotion, or the situation. How, you may ask? Well, for instance, if you're really angry or you start crying, because let's say you are terribly upset or you're irritated, and you're angry and fretting and fuming at somebody or something. That's not quite the problem, The problem is, why are you feeling so angry and why are you crying so much? Now, emotionally mature individuals usually know the why. And they also know the intensity of their emotions, especially the negative ones. So why you are crying, why you are angry, why you are irritated, Is it a problem that really deserves that kind of intense emotional outburst from you? Or are you just unable to identify how you really must manage this because you always cry, you always get angry, and you always get irritated? Well, you see, that is the cue to the next thing. And that brings me to the next point. Emotionally mature people aren't always people. Aren't always people. Okay, I repeated that because you don't be an always person. You behave to the context, you rise to the occasion. You get rid of being that always person, always angry, always snappy, always this, always that. I'm going to probably do a special episode on being this always person because it's a very interesting concept. And so we'll elaborate more on it there. But don't cast yourself in stone. Just by being an always person, that's what you do, you cast yourself in stone. You become so rigid about the way you are that there is no scope for flexibility. There's no scope for any kind of understanding, and that becomes difficult. And you see, that's what emotionally mature people don't really do. They're not always people. Emotionally mature people they're super self-reliant. All right? They take responsibility for their actions and they do act on what's needed of them. They're also highly independent, which means that they do not spend time relying on others to fulfill their happiness, their emptiness, or their financial burdens. They are very well capable of looking after themselves, and hence, they're experiencing a higher level of maturity in all senses. So in case you're constantly seeking self-assurance and you're blaming others for your misfortunes or your job or your life in general, it's time to kind of rethink your act and it's time to take responsibility of it. Moving on then, I have to bring this particular point up because obviously it's close to my heart and you know how passionate I am about this. But emotionally mature people, by default, tend to have higher emotional intelligence. And it's really organic and there's not much to explain here, but emotionally intelligent people quite effortlessly showcase higher levels of emotional maturity because they're so self-aware as is that they know how to manage these emotions maturely. It's just second nature to them. In fact, I think it's kind of safe to say that if emotional intelligence were a human body, then emotional maturity would be the heart, right? Okay, and that brings me to the end of this, but emotionally mature people, they love self-mastery. They're highly driven and they're very keen on understanding their inner functions, Instead of trying to change people around them, emotionally mature people are, in fact, constantly working on themselves and they indulge in self-mastery. How wonderful that is, right? Imagine if each of us would do that. The world would be so different. And needless to say that they are very, very grateful. They exercise gratitude and they remain humble. So yes, if you've answered the question before on whether you think you're mature, you're emotionally mature, and whether you think you need to get there, then let me end with this question now. How do you find yourself on the scale of emotional maturity? Do you think you're there yet? Do you think you can possibly pick your brain on one of the above and say, hey, I'm going to give this a shot and, probably take one step towards self-mastery. Try it out. Think about it. Are you emotionally mature? Think about what the benefits and how amazing life would be if you could just use a little bit of more emotional maturity. And please, don't confuse age and titles and designations and relationships with maturity and emotional maturity. It's so much more than that. You have the ability to do that. You have the ability to practice that. So it's your life. Try it out. Do what you love and do it often. And if you don't like something, go change it. The power is within you. Thank you for tuning in to the Life Manifesto with me, Zarina. If you find the show useful, then please share it with your friends, family, and co-workers. You never know. You may just help someone become the best version of themselves. And if you want to align your life with some signature masterclasses, certification courses, and live sessions with me, go check out and download my app, Life Manifesto with Zarina Poonawalla. available on Play Store or Apple Store. And if you have any suggestions or anything that you would like to share with me, get in touch with me on my social media handles. I am at Zarina Poonawalla on Instagram and LinkedIn, and at Zarina Speaks on Twitter. See you in the next episode.
Hello, everybody. It's been another great week on the IVM Podcasting Network. On Naan Curry, learn how to eat like a Bangladeshi. Sadaf and speak to cookbook author Dina Begum about Bangladeshi cuisine. On Audio Gyan, Aditi Kulkarni, UX manager at Shopify, shares her learnings as a web designer. Does our constitution include the word divorce? On The Longest Constitution, Priya explains the fault theory in our matrimonial laws. On All Things Policy, Pratik, Sapni and Rohan analyze the Wall Street Journal's Facebook files. And on Tere Mere Raste, Keshav introduces us to Pushkar, its sandy deserts, the world-famous cattle festival, and its Lord Brahma temple. Do follow us on social media. We're IVM Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And remember, if you enjoyed this show, or any of our other shows for that matter, please do tell a friend. We appreciate the word of mouth. And finally, we'd like to thank the sponsors on our network this week: Cred, Bank of Baroda Quarter, CoinSwitch Kuber, Slay Coffee, Intel, and Kotak Mahindra Bank. Thank you so much for making this possible.
Have you ever wondered where the business world is headed? How the ways in which we create, market, and sell to consumers will evolve? Or if we'll ever go back to wearing pants while working? For answers to all of this and more, tune into Advertising is Dead with me, Varun Dugirala. Every Tuesday, as I talk to entrepreneurs, leaders, and change makers from across business, media, marketing, and beyond. You can catch all episodes of Advertising is Dead on the IVM Podcast website, app, or wherever you get your podcasts from.